Martin Bormann, in 22 minutes. Welcome to an extraordinary journey through the dark corridors of history, where we unveil the life of one of the most enigmatic and influential figures of the Nazi regime, Martin Bormann. Today, we're peeling back the layers of a man who operated in the shadows, yet held immense power within Hitler's inner circle. From his rise as a ruthless administrator to his last days in the crumbling Third Reich, Bormann's story is filled with chilling strategies, covert operations, and the stark realities of a regime that shook the world. Hit the like button, subscribe, and prepare to be immersed in a narrative that's not just about history, but about understanding the complexities of power, loyalty, and ambition in one of history's most notorious eras. Martin Bormann was born on June 17, 1900, in the Prussian town of Wegerlaben, now part of Saxony-Anhalt in eastern Germany. His father Theodor, a post office official and son of Johann Friedrich Bormann, passed away in 1903, deeply impacting young Martin. His mother, Antonie Bernardin Menon, remarried Albert Volborn, adding to the family's complex dynamics. Bormann's early life was marked by financial struggles and familial tensions, especially following his father's death and his mother's quick remarriage. With 9 children from different marriages in the Bormann-Volborn household, Martin grew distant from most of his family, maintaining a close bond only with his brother Albert. His formative years were spent in various German cities, attending different schools. It was in Weimar, Thuringia, where Bormann enrolled in a state school, that he first encountered the xenophobic and anti-Semitic sentiments prevalent at the time. Influenced by nationalist ideologies and figures like Adolf Bartels, a notorious anti-Semite, Bormann's worldview began to take a darker turn. The outbreak of World War I in 1914 further shaped Bormann's ideology. Eager to join the war effort, he was frustrated by his age, which barred him from immediate enlistment. His academic struggles in subjects like languages and music fueled his insecurities, shaping his later life choices. After serving briefly in the 55th Field Artillery Regiment in 1918, Bormann did not return to his stepfather's home. Instead, he became an estate manager on the Gudhertsberg estate near Parchim, where he began to engage with anti-Semitic and nationalist groups. His tenure as a manager was marked by his rude behavior and lack of empathy, contributing to his unpopularity. During the economically turbulent 1920s in Germany, Bormann employed members of the Freikorps, a paramilitary group aligned with the National Socialist movement, on the estate. This decision reflected his growing involvement in radical politics and his desire for power within these circles. Bormann's association with the German People's Freedom Party, a rival to Hitler's NSDAP, and his command of the Freikorps detachment brought him into contact with Walter Kadau, a problematic figure. Kadau's theft of a significant sum from the estate led Bormann and his associates to take drastic action, resulting in Kadau's brutal murder by members of the Freikorps. The aftermath of the murder saw Bormann attempting to cover up the crime, but his plans unraveled when an accomplice informed the authorities. His subsequent arrest and the investigation into the murder marked a turning point in his life. Despite these challenges, Bormann remained committed to his beliefs, viewing his actions as justified. As Bormann's fascination with Adolf Hitler and the NSDAP grew, he began to distance himself from the old Northern National Socialists, signaling his future trajectory as a key figure in Hitler's regime. In the late 1920s, Martin Bormann's life and career within the National Socialist German Workers' Party, NSDAP, were marked by significant developments. After a disagreement at the Gudhertsberg estate, Bormann returned to his mother's house, showcasing his new Opel Laubfrosch sports car. Between 1926 and 1927, he devoted himself to working for the NSDAP's paramilitary wing, the Sturmabteilung, SA, under the leadership of Ernst Röhm. Bormann's networking skills came into play when he made contact with Hans Ziegler, a journalist running the party newspaper, Der National Socialist. He joined Ziegler's operation, taking on multiple roles, including truck driver, accountant, and salesman. This position brought him closer to the NSDAP's core, leading to his official party membership in February 1927. His skills in administration were recognized in November 1927 when he was promoted to the press office of regional party administrator Fritz Zalkel. Despite challenges in public speaking, Bormann's administrative prowess shone through, earning him respect within the party. His growing reputation within the SA and interactions with Adolf Hitler and his staff, including Rudolf Hess, gradually increased his influence in the party, though he remained reliant on the status of others. In 1928, Bormann's dedication was acknowledged when Hitler appointed him to a position in the SA's insurance office. Bormann's bureaucratic talent was further highlighted in his work on the SA Insurance and Relief Fund, approved by Hitler in 1930. This responsibility brought significant cash flow into the NSDAP and increased Bormann's power within the party. During this period, Bormann fell in love with Gerda Buch, the daughter of influential Nazi judge Walter Buch. Despite initial reservations from Gerda's family, their relationship flourished, leading to their marriage in September 1929, attended by Hitler and Hess. In March 1930, Bormann's role expanded to the SA staff, aligning with Hitler's strategy to present the NSDAP as a party of government rather than street fighting. The Wall Street crash of 1929, which had a devastating impact on the German economy, was seen by Hitler as an opportunity for the Nazis to gain government power through electoral means. To aid in this image transformation, Bormann initiated the creation of the National Socialist Motor Corps, NSKK, in April 1930, which required all NSDAP members to offer their vehicles for party use. His initial command of the NSKK showcased his organizational abilities, although the workload soon necessitated the formation of a separate team led by Adolf Hörnlein. Through these developments, Martin Bormann established himself as a key figure in the Nazi Party, adept at administration and deeply involved in the party's strategic and operational planning. His marriage into a prominent Nazi family and his close association with Hitler and other high-ranking party members further solidified his position within the NSDAP. The NSDAP's strategic reforms paid off during the Reichstag elections of September 1930, where the party won 107 seats, accounting for 18.3% of the national vote. This success, however, was threatened by internal strife within the SA, the party's paramilitary wing. A coup led by Pfeffer von Salomon against Hitler was foiled when Bormann informed Hitler of the plot, leading to Salomon's dismissal and Ernst Röhm's appointment as the head of the SA. This incident triggered a broader reform of the NSDAP's structure, rewarding loyal party bureaucrats like Bormann and Rudolf Hess with influential positions. Despite his inability to attend Hitler's late-night conferences due to his residence outside Munich, Bormann made the most of the patronage he received at Hitler's lunchtime meetings. Initially perceived as unrefined and overly friendly, he soon earned respect for his tireless work ethic and ruthlessness in handling subordinates. Following the 1930 election, Hitler formed a shadow cabinet to demonstrate the NSDAP's commitment to governance, although Bormann was not included. Nonetheless, his influence remained significant, as evidenced by the Weimar government's investigation into his activities in 1931, which found no illegal conduct. By 1932, Bormann's office was managing over 3 million marks in the insurance fund, which he made accessible for all party activities. Hitler valued Bormann for his reliability and lack of ideological clashes, seeing him as a dependable and effective aide. In March 1932, during a challenging period for Hitler's presidential campaign, Bormann was among the select few invited to be with Hitler at the Brown House, the party's Munich headquarters. Although Hitler lost the presidential election to Paul von Hindenburg, the NSDAP continued to gain ground, winning 230 seats in the July 1932 Reichstag elections and maintaining its status as the largest political party despite losing seats in November. The establishment of a new political central committee under Rudolf Hess in 1933 marked another step in Bormann's career as he transferred to this committee. The party's relocation to Berlin and Hitler's appointment as Chancellor in January 1933 further solidified the NSDAP's power. Bormann, along with other pre-1933 party members, was highly esteemed and awarded the Gold Party badge, symbolizing his dedication and foreshadowing his future promotions. With the March 1933 Reichstag elections cementing the Nazis' control and the subsequent decline of political opponents, the role of the SA diminished. Anticipating the reduction of his relief fund, Bormann proactively wrote to Hess, offering his assistance in Hess's office, demonstrating his ability to adapt and maintain his influence within the rapidly changing political environment of Nazi Germany. In July 1933, Martin Bormann's career in the Nazi Party took a significant turn when he became the Chief of Staff in the office of Rudolf Hess, the Deputy Führer. Initially, Bormann's power in this role was limited, as he was the only other staff member in the Hess Bureau. However, Hess's lack of political acumen and increasing reliance on astrologers eventually led to a decline in his influence, allowing Bormann to gain almost total control over the office and its operations. In September 1933, Hess received the formal title of Deputy Führer, and Bormann was elevated to the rank of Reichsleiter, the second highest rank in the NSDAP. This advancement was further solidified in October 1933, when Hitler ordered that all party matters and requests be routed through the AMT Hess. This directive gave Bormann substantial discretion over information at the highest levels of government and allowed him to attend cabinet meetings, though he held no official portfolio. As Hess's power waned, Bormann's influence grew. He was known as a tough but loyal boss and worked to secure promotions for his allies, such as his lawyer Heinrich Heim. Bormann's rise coincided with the tumultuous events of June and July 1934, particularly the Night of the Long Knives, during which key members of the SA, including Ernst Röhm, were purged. Bormann played a crucial role in this purge, working closely with Hitler and marking off names of those targeted for elimination. Despite his knowledge of the fabricated evidence against Röhm, Bormann remained unfazed and used the situation to further empower himself and his office. He suggested Victor Lutz as Röhm's replacement, a recommendation that was accepted. By late 1934, Bormann had become increasingly integrated into Hitler's personal office, taking advantage of Hess's diminishing interest in state matters. Bormann's diary entries from this period indicate a growing closeness with Hitler, including personal moments like riding in Hitler's supercharged Mercedes. He used his position to consolidate power further, directing Gauleiters to report their activities to him and chairing meetings attended by them. Following the death of President von Hindenburg in August 1934, Hitler assumed complete control over the Reich's civil service, entrusting Bormann with significant responsibilities. Bormann established a civil service training corps, giving him discretion over all staff employed by the Reich and influence across government departments. He emphasized party loyalty and values, banning non-NSDAP medals and unrecognized titles to reinforce party doctrine and integrity. From 1934 onwards, Martin Bormann's influence within the Nazi Party grew substantially, making him an increasingly central figure in the regime's operations. His appointment by Richard Dara, the Reich Minister for Agriculture, to the Agricultural Ministry allowed Bormann to further expand his influence by participating in departmental boards. Bormann's relationship with Heinrich Himmler, another key figure in the Nazi hierarchy, evolved into a significant alliance. Their coalition was solidified during Christmas 1937, reflecting Bormann's strategic positioning within the party's inner circle. By 1938, he had effectively monopolized party doctrine and internal legal disputes, surrounding himself with a team of lawyers who ensured his final authority in party matters. Hitler's trust in Bormann deepened over the years. In 1935, Bormann was given command of the Hitler Fund for German Trade and Industry, which, despite its supposed cultural and trade objectives, essentially served as a personal treasury for Hitler's projects. Bormann's control over these funds allowed him to finance various projects, including Hitler's personal real estate and cultural interests. A notable aspect of Bormann's policy agenda was his campaign against the Church, which he viewed as an obstacle to the Nazis' goal of centralized power. His publicized campaign against the Church from 1937 to 1938 not only exposed alleged corruption, but also led to restrictions on party members joining the clergy. Bormann's close relationship with Hitler enabled him to enact mandates without Hitler's direct approval, effectively using Hitler's name to advance his own policies. This tactic included provoking Hitler into rages and then using his outbursts to authorize various programs, including those against the Church. Bormann played a significant role in shaping the Nuremberg race laws of 1935, contributing to the legal framework that disenfranchised Jewish, Black, and Romani individuals. His involvement in anti-Semitic policy was pervasive, leading to his conviction in absentia for war crimes and crimes against humanity at the Nuremberg trials. During the Kristallnacht in November 1938, Bormann's response focused on the protection of property rather than the well-being of Jewish families, reflecting his priorities and mindset. In 1939, as Hitler prepared to invade Poland, Bormann was involved in the secret planning and noted the military mobilization in his diary. His role in Nazi Germany's political and military affairs continued to grow as he accompanied Hitler to the Eastern Front and represented him in German politics. Bormann's ambitions extended to the euthanasia program targeting disabled citizens, led by Philipp Bauer and Karl Brandt. Though he vied for command of the program, he was ultimately sidelined in favor of Bauer and Brandt. The program's negative public fallout led to Hitler ordering its curtailment, though it continued in concentration camps. During his time in Poland, Bormann seized the opportunity to appoint fanatical Nazis to regional party positions, further consolidating his power within the regime. This period marked Bormann's rise to one of the most powerful and influential figures in the Nazi hierarchy, wielding considerable control over party affairs and policy implementation. By 1944, Martin Bormann had firmly established himself as one of the most powerful and influential figures within the Nazi regime. His regulations prohibiting relationships between Germans and Poles and targeting educated Poles for elimination underscored the brutality of his authority. Even as his policies drew criticism from figures like Hans Frank, the Nazi Governor-General of Poland, Bormann's influence continued to grow. In 1940, when the Reich Ministry of Justice proposed incorporating Polish territories under German law, Bormann opposed the idea, advocating for a separate judicial system that would facilitate harsher measures. He successfully argued that German law would hinder Hitler's vision of a ruthless struggle, leading to the establishment of a judicial system in Poland that consisted of three-man courts with limited sentencing options. Bormann's growing influence was further evident in his handling of Rudolf Hess's unexpected flight to England in 1941. To control the potential political fallout, Bormann and other high-ranking officials promoted the narrative that Hess had gone insane. He quickly denounced Hess as a traitor and, following Hess's departure, was promoted to chief of the Reich Party Chancellery. In this role, Bormann erased Hess from the collective memory of the state and asserted his authority over the civil service. His power extended to the oversight of anti-Semitic and genocidal policies, particularly in occupied Poland. Bormann played a key role in the Wannsee Conference in January 1942, where plans for mass killings were decided. He ordered his officials to pursue these policies with ruthless severity, using coded language to initiate the Holocaust. Bormann's influence over religious matters was further solidified in August 1942, when Hitler tasked him with announcing the party's stance on all religious issues. He implemented levies on the church and seized assets when payments couldn't be made, leading to the dissolution of several monastic communities. As the war progressed, Hitler increasingly secluded himself, relying on Bormann to relay orders and manage political affairs. Bormann's routine at Hitler's Wolf's Lair headquarters involved late-night meetings and early morning briefings, leaving him with little rest but significant influence. In late 1942, Hitler formed a new committee to handle political affairs, the Committee of Three, led by Bormann, which included General Wilhelm Keitel and Hans Lammers. Bormann's dominant position in this committee further underscored his role as Hitler's chief political operator. Despite challenges to his authority from figures like Joseph Goebbels and Albert Speer, Bormann maintained his position as Hitler's most trusted associate. His control over information flow to Hitler allowed him to shape policy and maintain his grip on power. As the war turned against Germany, Bormann suggested the creation of the Volkssturm, a civilian auxiliary military force. This move marked his foray into military matters, reflecting the regime's growing desperation. The assassination attempt on Hitler by Colonel Klaus von Stauffenberg on July 20, 1944, at the Wolf's Lair marked a critical moment. While Bormann was not directly involved in military strategy, his proximity to Hitler and his role in the inner circle made him a key figure in the regime's response to this crisis and its subsequent actions. Martin Bormann's final years in the Nazi regime were characterized by a rapid consolidation of power and an increased role in the execution of its brutal policies. Following the assassination attempt on Hitler by Colonel Stauffenberg in July 1944, Bormann played a crucial role in the subsequent crackdown. He dispatched Gestapo officers that led to Stauffenberg's execution and influenced Hitler to distrust the Wehrmacht, favoring loyal party officials. As the Reich's situation worsened, Bormann's policies became increasingly desperate and ruthless. He devised a controversial marriage scheme to increase population levels and anticipated the need for air raid shelters. His 18-hour workdays reflected the regime's frantic efforts to maintain control as the Allies advanced. Bormann's manipulation of information and isolation of Hitler from the harsh realities of the war were key strategies in maintaining his position. His orders for the execution of deserters and the distribution of cyanide capsules as an emergency measure illustrated the extreme measures he was willing to take. In the final days of the war, as the Soviet and Allied forces closed in on Berlin, Bormann's role became even more central. He orchestrated the purging of top Nazi officials like Hermann Göring and Heinrich Himmler, whom he accused of treason. Bormann's diary entries from this period reveal his direct involvement in these high-level political maneuvers. As Hitler's situation became increasingly dire, Bormann remained in the Führer bunker, continuing to manage affairs even as the regime crumbled. After Hitler's suicide, Bormann was part of the effort to negotiate with the Soviets, although they declined, preferring to wait for the Allied forces. Bormann's escape attempt from Berlin was fraught with danger and ultimately ended in his death by cyanide poisoning. For years, his fate remained a mystery, fueling speculation that he had escaped to South America. However, the discovery of his remains in 1972 and subsequent genetic testing in 1998 confirmed his death in Berlin in 1945. Martin Bormann, convicted in absentia at the Nuremberg trials, was a pivotal figure in the Nazi regime. His role in the administration of its policies and his proximity to Hitler placed him at the center of some of the most significant and horrific decisions of the Second World War. Thank you for joining me on this historical deep dive. If you found this exploration as intriguing and thought-provoking as I did, please hit the like button to support the channel. Your likes, comments, and subscriptions fuel our journey into history's most compelling narratives. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. What aspects of Bormann's story struck you the most? What lessons can we draw from his life and actions? Subscribe and stay tuned for more content where we unravel the mysteries of the past, bringing forth the stories that shaped our world. Together, let's continue uncovering the truths hidden in history's shadows. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.